Okay. We are live on the internet. I'm super excited. We've got Walt Young here today. Heyo. So we're going to kill a couple seconds while people kind of filter in and stuff and make sure that we're like live on the internet and nothing weird has happened. But yay, I'm so excited. And you are in West Bloomfield right now, quarantining.
Bloomfield Hills.
Bloomfield Hills. And you're
I usually say Detroit. Okay. Sunny Detroit this morning.
Yeah, it is so nice outside today.
A little cold. Not as good as yesterday.
I know. It's been like, it's so weird how it's like 70 degrees in November. I'm like, oh, yay, we're getting a little rest.
We lost 25 degrees last night.
I know. It's going to be like, now it's going to be the official. It's going to get cold.
Yesterday was beautiful.
I know. Yeah, I am.
So how are you doing, Emily?
Pretty good. I feel like, although this last week I got this like rash and that was not good.
Was that the election?
I don't know. It was the weirdest thing. Like I was like, why am I getting this rash? Like, is it stress? Is it something I ate? Is it the weather changing to be nice? And now my allergies are kicking in. I don't even know.
Allergies, probably.
I don't know why I'm telling you about my health problems. How's your health?
I'm doing great. I've had 2 rough years.
Yeah, I know. You've been kind of not at very many events.
I'm one of the few people that 2020 is a great year. Because last year, I spent 9 months in a hospital, Jesus. 15 surgeries. So 2020 is a great year. I was used to quarantine.
Yeah, I know. Now you're like, okay. Well,
so yeah, I've had no setbacks. No. So 2020, I was ready for quarantine.
Yeah, I feel like that is it's like, I feel like by this point, aren't you kind of like ready to just get out of the house? Or are you kind of a homebody normally?
No, I'm ready. And I've been driving for 2 months now. I'm walking now with a cane, almost done with a cane. Got rid of the wheelchair about 3 months ago. So no, 2020 is a great year for me.
Man alive. Well, that's
how about that? Everything's relative.
Okay, people have shuffled, so this is enough time for people shuffling. So this is the official start. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cackle. This is Entry Point's weekly interview series highlighting small businesses, startups, and the people making an impact on our communities. And so today I'm super excited because we are talking about how economic and social and monetary goals can all work in unison. Which I do love because if you guys know Walt Young, which many people do in the Midwest, Walt is a pretty prolific, if that would be the right word, angel investor in the community. A lot of people will say, it may be, I wonder if you say this, but a lot of people will say that they got funded by the FOW. Have you heard that?
Oh, yes.
They'll say like, so entire companies will say that they have fundraised from Friends of Walt, FOW, which I think is like very interesting. And I met you maybe about 11 years ago, but how long have you been angel investing?
About 20 years.
Yeah.
Exactly 20 years.
So you were in manufacturing industry for a really long time, and that's
for 36 years. I ran 4 different public companies. Okay. I did turnarounds. Okay. Then about 17 years ago, I retired at a young age, and I found out that what I've been doing for turnarounds is the same skills for startups.
Okay.
So I started to do startups.
Interesting.
Except as investor, mentor type of thing. And so, yeah.
For people who don't know angel investors, so sometimes people who are watching the show don't totally know what an angel investor is, but they're high net worth individuals that invest really early in a tech company. A lot of times in a tech company.
Right.
Lately, I've been seeing a lot more in
it's anything.
High growth companies.
I have some non-tech companies as well. Okay. So it's just startups. Yeah, it's high net worth people, as you say. And I'm sort of a hybrid. I'm not your typical angel. I have a network of 50 or 60 high net worth buddies. And when I find a company that I think is worthy in investing, I send an email out to 60 and say, here's the terms. And are you interested or not? No pressure, no obligation. And if you want to be a passive, of FOW, Friends of Walt, I'm the only active investor. Okay. Everyone else knows they're passive.
Interesting.
And so I'm sort of a hybrid between a fund and an individual angel.
Okay. And it's kind of, I find that interesting because there has been a lot of talk about in the Midwest there since sort of early stage investing is a newer industry. A lot of people in like, you're like, wait a second. No, a lot of people in like San Francisco and New York, they'll be like, oh, I know an angel investor. My uncle's
right.
capitalist or whatever. But I think in the Midwest, that's not something that's as common. So there's a lot of high net worth individuals in the Midwest that don't really know that much about angel investing. Would you say that's true?
Oh, that's true. So and there's a whole range. When you say angel investor, it's like saying entrepreneur. Yeah. There's a whole range in that definition.
Okay. Would you say a lot of the people that you talk to are people that just are already comfortable investing in early stage companies, or are you kind of like educating people?
Yeah, no, I don't do missionary work.
Yeah.
I barely tolerate my passive investors. And if they start bugging entrepreneurs, I slap them down.
How would you say bugging?
Huh?
What do you mean by bugging?
Oh, no, some angel investors think that they own the startup and they get detailed in. They think they can make every decision with the CEO or president or entrepreneur. That's bad. Even I don't do that. So
do you think that's more common in the Midwest? Or do you think that's more common in the Midwest?
No, it's on both coasts. Okay. That, angels think they'll put in $10,000 and that they have a right to 5 hours a week with the entrepreneur. No, that's not true. The entrepreneur's got better things to do.
What do you think could be done to get more people?
People like Skip Sims are the missionary types to get more angels involved.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, Skip Sims runs
is Ann Arbor Spark.
Yeah.
Neat guy. And he tolerates all sorts of angels. I don't tolerate.
Do you think that you're considered more founder friendly?
Yes. And that's part of my success. I protect entrepreneurs. I protect founders. I kick their butts on the other hand. And I'm there for when they have crisis.
Yeah.
So here.
I thought it was like really interesting. So just some background. You had watched a panel session that we did and it was really funny because you emailed me afterwards. And if you are in the Midwest and you are someone in the entrepreneurial community and you have not received an email from Walt Young telling you you're an asshole, just wait. Just wait. Eventually you'll get there. Because I remember the first time ever that you emailed me and you're like, you're a real asshole. And I was like, what the heck? And I'm like, this guy's just, is that allowed? And then I was like, oh, okay. I get it.
It's part of my clear communications. Very concise.
I do like it though. But you had emailed me and you had sort of said how you kind of felt like the conversation that we were having, and it was a conversation with Doug Song from Duo Security and Kelly Sexton from the University of Michigan and Patty Glaza from Invest Detroit that kind of, I think it was something that I had said in the conversation, had made it seem like that investing in diverse led businesses was something that was like more charitable in nature, more something that we as a society should do, which I do think is true, but that you felt like yes, the like economic growth is great. Yes, diversity is great, but that like really you're focused on making the money, and that you feel like all of those things are true and work in unison. So that's kind of why I thought it would be interesting. So if you give like a little bit of give a little overview of what your thoughts are.
Well, no, that panel that you had, and it's been 2 months ago since I saw that.
Yeah.
And Doug really stated my position pretty well. Okay. I don't mix philanthropy and startups. I don't mix the motivations. And so it's best when I back a founder, and usually it's early stage, pre-A, whatever, I'm focused on he or she's success, not doing a general economics or a diversity. I'm very focused on making that successful.
Yeah.
I don't go out and say, I'm looking for left-handed people to back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's probably a bad analogy. I understand left-hand people are pretty smart. But maybe I should go that way. But let's say green people, okay?
Yeah.
So I think you got the wrong syllable. You look for good entrepreneurs, whatever they are, even if they're green left-handed people. Yeah. And that's been probably for 60 years I've been an equal opportunity exploiter. And so I've been colorblind, gender blind for 60, 70 years. And so, yeah, I exploit all types in my corporate career, in my public career, as well as the startup. And so what I look is characteristics. And I'll use you as a great example, Emily. Okay.
I'll tell you my address later and you can send a check.
Yeah. No. But the characteristics I look at are drive, intelligence, and integrity. Those three, and a few others, but I mean, those three, you can't get educated on. You can't get trained. You don't go to school to learn integrity or drive. And so those are characteristics I really look at in founders. And long and behold, after your thing 2 months ago, I look back after my successes, and they were all run by women or immigrants.
Yeah.
An occasional white person. But the drive, and I was surprised that here I was maybe current, but for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
I was looking at successful entrepreneurs to back and to encourage. And I wasn't backing women. I wasn't backing blacks. I wasn't backing immigrants. But surprise, surprise, that's where my success has been.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. Talk a little bit for people who don't know, like kind of your investment history and the amount you've invested in things like that. Because I think people kind of maybe you're thinking, oh yeah, you invested like $1 million here or there or something, but you've actually.
No, I quit counting. The friends of Walt have invested over 150 million in just the last decade.
Yeah.
And that's probably
I can't even conceptualize that amount of money.
So, other than Arboretum, I'm probably the largest investment firm in Michigan, if you look at it that way.
Interesting.
But anyhow, I don't do panels, Emily. Maybe you're about to find out.
Well, you can't say that like in the middle of our conversation.
Sorry to tell you that now. Too late.
All of a sudden, you just click off.
I'm ready.
I'm
ready if Molly just cuts me black. But anyhow, no. So I never looked at it that way. But I have to tell you, when I look at companies, I look at three things: the leadership, the unique proposition, and the adult supervision. And if they don't have those three buckets, I don't even go further.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
supervision.
Yeah, that's maybe the odd thing. You've heard about leadership, and we covered that a little bit. And the unique proposition everybody's heard about. But the adult supervision I see as key for a number of reasons. One, that the founder is intelligent enough to have adult supervision. On the other hand, adult supervision to me usually means a fiduciary board right from the get-go. Includes a number of investors, but more importantly, a number of people in that space that can, boards are there for not just giving money, but for guiding founders.
Wait a second, no board that I've been on is ever good.
Yeah, you see, there you go, Emily. You would just qualify because your confidence is so you don't want anybody telling you what to do. You don't, or you're insecure that you don't want a board being able to fire you.
No, I have a board.
Do you really?
Yeah, we did just do the. Although I won't say those other things aren't also true, but I don't like being told what to do. But it is funny because
and that's typical, and that's typical. But but when you run into trouble, it's good to have some experience around, particularly in that space that you're in. Okay, and so that's what I call as adult supervision.
Okay,
and so they are, when you hit a speed bump, they're there to prop you back up and help you out. And I've made a whole career of, turnarounds and startups. All are about two basic things: crisis management and talent scouts. So those are my two skills: being a talent scout and crisis management. Some people even accuse that I create crisis. That works too. I have. Okay.
It's funny, Molly just commented, there's like a comment screen, and she just commented that you know me so well.
Molly,
I think you must just be kind of good at reading people.
Molly's secure, I guess, or unemployed. Which is it?
She's secure. It's like,
what'd you ask, Emily?
Say that again.
You asked last question. Did you?
I
lost it. You said, what did I hire or what did I do?
You must be really good at reading people, is what I just said.
Yeah, no, I did. I have. And I've had all sorts of shrinks over the last 60 years trying to figure out why.
Oh, that's interesting.
And, I had a long oral phase. I was a smoker. Preacher's kid probably helped it. By age 5, I knew how to identify hypocrites and be one. And in my era, a lot of preachers' kids were diplomats for that reason.
Yeah.
For those two reasons. They could recognize hypocrites and be one.
What do you mean?
Because that's congregation. Every Sunday at dinner time, my mother would do a comic routine of the congregation. And so before I was age 5, I knew how to recognize hypocrites and not. And so that was probably it. But later in life, so I expanded it in interviewing. And last week, I enjoyed your Cackle because it focused on one of the best communication skills there are, listening.
Yeah.
And if you listen, you'll be amazed how much you learn. And so when I interview people, I've gotten it so it's a game. Whoever talks most loses in an interview. And so I just say, how so? And listen.
Oh, man.
It's hard to believe that I can do that. Okay.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah. But not only listen, but I ran across early in my career a psychologist that fine-tuned that for me. He did word pairings, attitude pairings, and had it down to an engineering science of how to listen carefully with adjectives and how people do pairing of negatives and positives. And you can learn a lot about people. And even if you do that in interviewing, it's amazing how the person that's talking or being interviewed learns about themselves. I remember one of my famous interviews. Let's see, that was 55 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
And I was interviewing this woman for a trainee job right out of school. And in the middle of the interviewing, she says, "Pardon me, can I use your telephone?" I said, "Sure." A little weird. And so she goes on the phone. She says, "I've decided to break off the engagement and we don't need to get married in 2 weeks." I said, "Stop." So after that experience, I've been got a little
I really hope this story ends with this being your wife.
No.
What if it did? I would be like,
no, it's all on her own. I hired her. Okay. But no, she says, some of your questions, yeah, here's my priorities. They aren't to marry this bozo that I'm engaged to. And so I have had, that was the most dramatic.
Yeah, okay? That is so interesting. Oh my goodness.
But no, so if you listen and people talk, you learn a lot. And so that was my success when I was doing turnarounds. And it's also a large part of my success in angel investing. And the other is crisis management. There's nothing like a crisis to unite an organization and to have a sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Now it's, the word Chinese, I should have had it here. The words for Chinese for crisis are two characters. One is danger and the other is opportunity. So crisis is both danger and opportunity. I focus on the opportunity of a crisis.
Yeah.
Okay, like you did this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you've pivoted what? You wouldn't tell me how many times you've pivoted in the last 2 years.
It's just a constant state of being, not really
it is.
Yeah.
And that's what a good start.
That's why I don't really like to say pivot, because I feel like if you
I hate pivot. I should not use pivot. It's a constant character. It's a buzzword.
Yeah.
It's probably out of term.
I'll pivot while eating breakfast in the morning. I'll just be like, oh no, we shouldn't be doing that.
And that's what you should do. That's what all founders, presidents, CEOs should be, very flexible and adaptive to the times.
Yeah.
COVID made everybody more flexible. Not only did we get on Zoom like this, 10 years before we would have, but it's forced people to be more flexible.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like a crisis to be innovative and creative. And we've seen it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually been so interesting to see just how different organizations have had these ideas that they're
just in 6 months.
Yeah.
The whole world. Now, I'm talking about a small sliver. The rest of them all need therapy that aren't too flexible and optimistic and opportunistic.
Yeah.
The rest of the world needs serious therapy.
Yeah, it does seem that there are a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot, but like I feel like there are some businesses that you're either seeing come up with these really great ideas and doing these really cool things now, or there's businesses that you just don't even hear from anymore that are like, it's like,
died.
Okay, we'll just pause here for a bit.
Yeah.
After the global pandemic, and then I'm like,
yeah.
Wait,
oh
where?
No, we'll come back after the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's a plan.
Yeah, it's so. I'm like, that's so boring. Why?
Oh, no, I heard that. I said, good luck with that. See you on the other side.
It's interesting that you're talking. You say like that you've been seeing a therapist for so long and stuff, and I think that's something people don't talk about very much. Like, why did you ever like? Why
physical therapist? I probably need a mental one.
Your physical therapist is saying this many things?
No. I miscommunicated. I had my physical therapist this morning. So if you see sweat coming down me or whatever. But no, I had a problem last year. I had body parts cut off and all that. So
yeah,
I'm getting strength back that I can walk again.
But
so that's physical therapy. No, I don't. I probably need mental therapy. But the rest of the world certainly does.
Yeah. I think everybody
because
does. You had said you talked to like psychologists and stuff though in the past.
Oh yeah, no, I have. I've mostly shrinking me over my public career. They, I'm a little unique. I haven't shown it all here.
Maybe I've seen portions of it in other venues.
No, I'm mellowed out with my age.
Did you feel like when I always think this is interesting, and there's like people, maybe I shouldn't name their names, but there are like people in the community that I'm like, oh, this person's so like nice and interesting, and then other people will be like, yeah, that's because you didn't know them like 30 years ago when they were like tyrants.
I'm probably that way.
Really?
Yeah, I was sort of like you, didn't listen to anybody 30 years ago.
I listen to some people.
Yeah, no, it's good to have confidence.
Yeah.
But it's also good to listen a little bit.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, that's what, when I go back to a good founder, a good leader, has those things. And I even think, all these schools of entrepreneurship, schools of leadership, I think they're just cons. Total irresponsible. Okay?
I wonder if Tom Frank is still listening and what he thinks of this. Tom, if you're still listening, I want you to comment on this because
I think it's a ripoff. I think it's a con.
Used to run the Center for Entrepreneurship at U of M.
I've told this to Tom Kinnear. Is that who you're talking about?
No, Tom Frank. He was.
He came after Tom. Yeah.
He had moved here from San Francisco area and then was running the Center for Entrepreneurship at U of M, and then moved back to the San Francisco area. But
no, I never met him. I don't think.
Okay.
But Tom Kinnear was there, the Zell Institute of Entrepreneurship, and I told Tom to himself it was a ripoff. You don't teach entrepreneurship. You can teach some of the detail. You can't teach drive. You can't teach integrity. Okay?
Yeah.
You can't teach intelligence. All right? You got to have those. I said, if you were really honest with yourself, Kinnear, your screening, your application would be, you got to go to a shrink to see if that individual has the intelligence, drive, and integrity.
Yeah.
And you would not admit them if they didn't have those three. Okay? Then you can teach them the detail. You can teach them how to connect the dots. You can connect, how to do the finances. You can teach marketing. But you can't teach integrity, drive. You can't get across those three things.
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting. And it's funny that you just sometimes run across people that have like a lot of these things together. You're like, oh my goodness, they could do all of the things, any of the things, handle
right. And so once I find that person, I think you go find a unique product or service and come back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. But you got to have those three. Then I lay on the surprise. You need adult supervision.
Yeah.
Okay. And like you, they ask, why would I need that? I am so smart. Well, for when shit happens, Forrest Gump.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it does.
Who is your, well, maybe I won't get you in trouble, but who is one of your favorite entrepreneurs that you would say, like, the best? So good.
Oh, I'll say Jen Baird.
I do like Jen.
I think I was her second investor. Oh, this goes back almost 20 years ago. 2003, 2004. She accosted me in U of M. I was Dave Brophy's guest at one of his classes, and she sat behind me and just bugged the shit out of me. And she wrote me in because she had the drive. I didn't know she was intelligent then. And I didn't know she had integrity, but I interviewed her and her co-founder, Colin Rich, and the two of them. And so I was part of their first board, second, and it was Tom Kinnear and myself and one other, Sharam. The three of us were her board, and we raised the money, and I was on her board for the whole 10 years.
And that was at Accuri cytometers?
Yeah. No, we sold them to BD, Becton Dickinson, for $205 million in 2010.
Yeah.
So it was almost 7 or 8 years that I was on the board all the way through it. And we raised something like $40 million for that and sold it for $205.
And then she's running Third Eye now. Is that what it's called?
No, Fifth Eye. Fifth Eye, you can't count, Emily. It's
I know. I knew I was going to mess that one up. There's somebody else that just started an organization that I think is called like Third. Something.
Yeah, no, it's not yoga. I don't think it's Fifth Eye. Not your Third Eye yoga. You're getting confused.
Oh, that would explain maybe why I did think it was interesting. Maybe that explains.
No. And she ran it all except for the last year. And Jeff Williams came in to be the closer and the finisher. It's almost like baseball. Many start. It's weird, strange that the same individual can do the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Start, grow, scale, and exit.
Yeah.
Those are wildly different abilities. And Jen recognized that and profited by that at Accuri. But no, she did this wind thing that I wanted to invest in, but it didn't pass my test for the unique proposition.
Yeah.
But no, her Fifth Eye that she's been in the last 2 years, I have backed her.
Yeah.
But no, she had the skills. She had that integrity, that drive and intelligence. And so did her co-founder. So, that was a great example.
Yeah, she is so good. I haven't caught up with her in a while. Maybe I'll have her on the Cackle.
There you go. She cackles well. Okay? Yeah. She'll put you back on your heels.
I know. That is so great.
She gives a lot of pushback.
Yeah, I like that. It's funny that I also haven't asked you any of the questions that I sent you.
Yeah, no, I was going to point that out. Nice head fake. Okay.
Let me look at one of them just to make sure there's nothing like. Okay.
They were meaningless. We did better topics anyhow.
Yeah, it's true. There was one thing I did want to touch on though. So you say like you've looked back at your portfolio and you noticed that unintentionally it is the majority is led by underrepresented groups. And I don't think that is actually common, based on the fact that
No, that probably goes back to, my equal opportunity exploiter attitude, my attitude. And it was for those 36 years in the public companies. I probably had more women direct reports than anybody I had at the time. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was weird to have a woman CFO or promote a woman anywhere or a black. Okay. But I did, and I saw nothing unusual about it. And so it carried over to doing startups in the last, 17, 20 years. And so, I'm sort of colorblind. But a lot of that was skewed on immigrants, particularly in the startup. Indians, Handy is a great entrepreneur. Kaylin Handy, okay?
Yeah.
I've had Russians, Vladimir, okay? I've had Chinese. I've had...
I feel like I'm about to get in so much trouble if you keep listing these off.
What?
People are going to be like, oh gosh, he's using all the terms that used to be used and aren't using.
No, I know these are bad terms.
I'm like,
I gotta go back. Yeah, you gotta hide.
I know.
But when you say diversion and inclusivity, I won't get into that one. But I've had that for decades.
So why do you think, though, that there are that other people's portfolios in the Midwest don't reflect that, and you've had sort of such a successful portfolio, and you notice later on, like,
but look at their returns. That's why we don't have many VC funds that have lasted more than a decade, because they don't. Okay, because they had shit returns.
Do you think that they don't try that? Like, people don't generally, I guess, like, throw a broad enough net.
Yeah. No, they eliminate
companies.
They eliminate all these groups for themselves. They're bigots, okay? Maybe not intentionally, but unless you're a white male, they won't even talk to them. And that's wrong. Now, I got to defend certain white males have done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Okay. And so and so on the other hand, saying immigrants, women's, blacks, what have you, are important. That's where I say you got the wrong syllable.
Yeah.
I think, that's being wrong too. Okay. It's like being affirmative action. We need so many inclusive entrepreneurs. I think that's silly. I think I told you that at your previous employer, nameless that'll be. When you were pitching that, I said, that's silly. Hire them.
So I feel like the focus kind of needs to be a little bit more to encourage people to throw a wider net, because otherwise I think people lazy.
And that's the common ground you and I could have.
Yeah.
I've been successful because I had that wider net. I was colorblind, whatever blind, and looking for drive, intelligence, and integrity.
Yeah.
Okay? That's rare. That's like hitting 3 pineapples on a slot machine. It's a rare combination.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who they are. If they have those 3 combinations, boy, I'll try to find somebody how I can make money off of them, because they're good backers. They're going to be productive, whether as a startup or employee or wherever they are. They're going to be successful. And so that's the raw material. And that's not only in white men. Okay. Duh.
Exactly.
And in fact, some people would argue that's the last place you find them. Okay.
I would maybe argue that on occasion.
Yeah. I'm giving you that opening, Emily.
I don't know. I just like over the whole white male species, except for you. You can be the only one.
No, I'm pale, male, and stale. Okay. So I'm on the Anti-Defamation League of the Pale, Male, and Stale group.
I like
we're
that.
we're 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 feeling abused now. We know what a minority feels like now.
Okay, I'm probably not though. You guys could stand to have 400 years of maybe a little bit of ass kicking.
Oh, now it's coming out, Emily.
You know it's true. Okay, let me see. One last question I want to ask you, because I know I'm keeping you way over, is so over the last 2 decades or 3 decades that you've been in the investment community around this region, what do you feel like you've seen as like the most significant changes or improvements, or do you feel like you really haven't seen that much progress in the community? Like, what is sort of your impression looking back?
Yeah, the last 20. Let's take the last 20 years, or even the last decade to get more pertinent. Let's see if you use your buzzwords. We have a great ecosystem
There we go.
for startups. But we're pretty poor on nurturing individuals. Okay? We have all the lawyers and crap around to support. Some of them are like barnacles just sucking dry money. We got 2 or 3 good attorneys. A lot not good. Okay? We have a lot of bankers, but they don't get into this space. So we got a lot of people wanting to help out. But we do a really poor job of identifying, and I'm after drive, intelligence, and whatever the other one was. Drive, integrity.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest one. If we could select those 3, if you would do that and focus finding within women, blacks, LGBTQIA plus, what have you, find people with those 3 characteristics, then the ecosystem and me would help them out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You could do a screen for those 3 characteristics to really help out. Because, I'm not the only super angel around with a bunch of friends. There's other people. There's good venture firms in Michigan left. Couple, not many.
God.
Huh?
I just said, oh God.
Well, they fail when they, if they don't have a return on investment.
It's true.
They failed, and that's the venture community has failed in the last 15 years and disappeared. And that's where, talking the last 15, 20 years, the venture firm has had to move to later stage, less risk growth. And so the earlier stage I'm talking about, there's nobody there. I'm the only one. Or angels are the only ones stupid enough to invest in that early stage period. And so it's tougher now to get financing. There's so much money out there now looking for good investments.
Mm-hmm.
And even my friends at Walt, they're saying, Walt, you haven't, they count on me for some of them for 200,000 investment a year in things. They say, hey, you're behind the curve.
Yeah.
And I said, that's why I'm not a venture firm. They said, I don't want the pressure to invest money in things I shouldn't. And I don't have the pressure to sell out when I shouldn't either. Okay? That's the beauty of a angel investor. They have flexibility, where venture firms don't have that flexibility. They have to invest, they have to exit, sometimes not at the ideal times. But anyhow, so the problem for founders and entrepreneurs in the last decade has gotten tougher raising money. And so that's really been a bummer. And you can help on that. Screen for integrity, intelligence, and drive. And boy, go to Freedom House there with all the immigrants. I want to back them for restaurants or anything that they got. What those immigrants had to do to get here is amazing, okay? In the last 10 years.
Yeah. And
boy, you don't even have to get them to speak English. They're successful. And that's I go for money, but I look for greed in entrepreneurs, but more so I look for pride. That's probably the fourth characteristic I did. Okay? They want to succeed to be a success. And that's more important drive, motivation than greed. Okay? Greed can have consequences. Okay?
Yeah.
But that drive is more a pride drive. The intelligence and the integrity are also, it's the Girl Scout oath, okay? Those 3 or 4 characteristics are really more likely to be successful entrepreneurs, founders. And not everyone's designed to be a founder, okay? And that's why I go back to these schools that exploited people that will never be founders, entrepreneurs, but they'll be good individuals and productive. So I don't want to be that bigoted. But for founders of startups, boy, it's intelligence, drive, and integrity, and more on pride than greed on that drive.
Yeah.
It's good to have both.
Interesting. How would you say that people could screen for those things? I mean, it seems
like I do. Listen, interview. There's tests out. Some of these tests have been out there for 50 years.
Yeah.
You can take a 20-minute test and find these characteristics, okay?
Yeah.
Or find uncharacteristic. So there's professional. I don't use those. I just use interviewing and listening skills. And I've made mistakes, okay? And so are the tests are mistakes too. But there's some great tests out there that the shrinks use that venture firms could use, okay?
You love some shrinks.
What?
You love some shrinks.
I do. They're so much fun.
Yeah, that is really interesting. I'm gonna have to look more into that. I've heard a couple of those different different tests that DISC method a lot of people talk about and things like that. I think that is
it goes in fads. There's a couple of them that have lasted. Some oldies but goodies. But no, you need to listen. And people will tell you, hell, I don't drive. Okay, I have no drive. I just want enough to eat and go fishing. And that's fine. Just I'm not going to back you for a startup. I just go fishing. Okay. And I've had people tell me that. Okay. That's not a weird example.
I think that there is, though. That's there's room for that in society. But yeah, definitely not something that would be something you
don't want to back that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I want to employ the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I hired that woman that decided to dump her fiance. Okay.
That's so great. I think you should
totally ask her, what did I say?
And then now she's my wife at the end.
No such punchline. No, my wife picked me up, 54 years ago.
Where did you guys meet?
Oh, in college.
Oh, okay. Where did you go to college?
A small liberal arts school in Ohio, Muskingum College, now Muskingum University. A small liberal arts school.
And then you both are from Ohio?
Yeah, Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
We were both from Western Pennsylvania. It's in southeast Ohio, but I'm still wondering what I'm going to do when I grow up, Emily. Okay, I was a history major. Then I didn't want to eat like a history teacher. I wanted to eat better, so I got a business economics. Then I got an undergraduate. Said, no, I still can't eat enough. So I went to graduate school. I had to go to Penn State. That's the only place that I could afford. I put my new wife to work, so she put me through. Then she retired, and she grew. She had to guide me and 2 kids.
Yeah.
But no, so she was the real secret. She put up with me for 54 years.
Oh, that's nice. I like
which
that.
is everybody thinks she's a saint, and she probably is.
She probably is. You're like, we're filing the paperwork
Yeah.
to find out if she for sure.
No, if you see a club hit behind me,
Yeah.
if I suddenly go,
Just like stop talking about me on the
if
internet.
there's a whack.
That's so funny.
So no. So she's tolerated me through all this. No, I went through 4 public companies doing turnarounds. I just naturally got to managing crisis or making up crisis.
Yeah.
And I probably did 70 turnarounds in those 4 public companies as a group manager or as I progressed on top, and around the world. That was good in my background too.
Yeah.
I lived in Europe for 2 years. I traveled. A lot of my businesses were global. So I had to listen to how Indians are different than Portuguese, different than Japanese versus Saudis or Israelis. I've dealt with them all.
Where in Europe?
I lived in the Netherlands.
Oh, very interesting.
In the country, small little town, 140,000 people, Enschede. My kids, I had to learn some Dutch to talk to my kids. They were 4 and 6 at the time. And so, no, it's part of my empathy. Listening is empathy. And what the world needs now is empathy. I thought I had real hope back in March and April at the beginning of the pandemic that the world was showing empathy.
Mm-hmm.
I've been disappointed lately, particularly in the U.S. Empathy has disappeared.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Do you just feel like the way everyone is acting, or?
Yeah. Not too empathetic.
Yeah.
Not too understanding.
It is interesting to see.
So we need to pray for our leaders. I pray for Joe being a unifier. But he's got a challenge.
Good job. Yeah, that is definitely, I think, I won't make this conversation.
Yeah, let's not go there.
I was to take that, then we're going to be talking until 2 p.m. and you're going to be like, wait, I thought this is done at 11.
But anyhow.
So
No. We need empathy.
Yeah.
And the world would be a lot better. And that's part of that listening skills. That you're, what was her name last week?
Laura.
Laura?
Laura, yeah.
Yeah, Laura. She really hit right on the head. Everyone wants communication skills, concise, and communication, but I got to tell you, listening is a lot better than talking.
Yeah. I have to work on that.
Sorry. Molly, thanks for the tip.
Okay, so you will be really interested, maybe, I guess I shouldn't assume you'd be interested, in who our guest is next week. Is super exciting. Is the co-founder and CEO of Venture for America, Amy Nelson.
Don't know him.
She's going to be calling in from New York City. So it'll be interesting to talk to her. And do you know?
Hold on, say the name again.
Her name is Amy Nelson. And she is the co-founder and CEO of Venture for America. And so we're going to be talking kind of the next.
No, I don't know her. I thought I knew her.
The next generation of entrepreneurs, but she's that organization is really cool. Are you familiar with Venture for America at all?
No, not at all.
It's like it's really, really interesting because they find such amazing talent from like all these different universities across the country who are
that's great.
getting into entrepreneurs, but they do a lot of what you're talking about of like vetting people and training people. And
No, if they'd screen for integrity, drive, and intelligence,
I feel
they'd save the world so much money.
I feel like a big part of what they do has to kind of be related to that. I don't know how their vetting process is, but I feel like every time I meet a Venture for America fellow, like they're at all these different.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They're always so good.
I'll have to look them up. Okay.
So crazy. So
but no, that screen, would really save individuals from going the wrong direction. Okay.
Yeah.
And being frustrated. Because if they don't have intelligence, drive, and integrity, they're setting themselves up for failure.
It is.
And so, it's a win-win for that individual. I just look for win-wins for individual, put the right person in the right slot.
Mm-hmm.
And, as a leader, if you don't have those three things, you're going to fail. And you're going to hurt yourself as much as your backers. It's not just screwing investors, which no one cares about, okay?
Yeah.
But you're screwing yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll get frustrated. And so, no, I have the same attitude for universities. It's gotten comfortable in the last 30 years to let everybody in a university. I think that's a criminal act because people are going into universities that will never graduate, never get a job. And what we're doing is saddling them with 30, 50,000 of debt that they'll never get to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lose-lose. If we, and the university where I'm on a trustee, we've gone to screening and counseling people in the gray area and say, maybe you shouldn't go to college. Maybe you should go to community college. We'll help you there. Okay? Rather than run up big debt and failing out.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in entrepreneurship. We should screen better up front. And so my message is not just you, Emily.
Yeah.
Although it's fun to harass you.
So that's like my life story.
I have the same story, different specs for universities that have just gotten greedy in the last 30, 40 years, double their enrollment, build all sorts of buildings.
Yeah.
Tripled their own pay, okay? And screwed thousands and millions of individuals that don't have a degree and have debt and have busted dreams. Okay? It's a disservice. It's a lose-lose. Same thing on startups. If venture firms, and many of them were, I shouldn't blast them all. Many have been doing this screening for 50 years or more. Some of the more successful, anyone that survived has done this. Many of the big New York and DC and Silicon Valley have used these specs as their own screens. So I'm not alone. I'm not unique.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's where, focus on those attributes, screen for those attributes for entrepreneurs, regardless whether they're green or left-handed.
Yeah, that is an interesting. I'm gonna have to look more into that to see if there's like a way that, or like different tests or something like that. Or
there are. I'll send you emails.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah, that would be interesting to read a little bit more about that.
But I'll be interested what your guest next week has to say.
Yeah, I definitely am going to ask her that because I feel like it's so interesting that like every time you're working with a Venture for America fellow, like you won't realize because they just take roles within different tech companies, but you'll be talking to somebody and like, man, this person is so smart. And then I'll be like, where did you go to school? And they'll be like, oh, from, somewhere else. Cause they're usually just from all over the country. And
Oh, that's great.
Why are you in Michigan? And then they'll be like, oh, I'm a Venture for America fellow. And you're just like, oh, of course you are. Like everyone good is a Venture for America fellow. It's so ridiculous. So I feel like they must have that screening process.
There you go. That's neat to hear. But we got a lot of entrepreneurs in Michigan, in the Midwest. Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois is a great talent. And both coasts have recognized that we got talent here and efficient talent. And, these companies, Accuri, CelSee, that we've done strategic sales, they all want to be here. They're still here.
Mm-hmm.
They did not move the operation out. No, they moved operations in.
Yeah.
We just sold CelSee this year, April 1st. Yeah, I like the date.
Yeah.
To Biorad. And they've expanded. They've almost doubled the employment here in the last 7 months. So no, we're being recognized that we have the talent, both leadership as well as efficiency, that they don't have on both coasts.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. I do feel like that has been a trend that we've noticed also.
So no, we got a lot of assets. And we got a lot of associations. Ohio is a great one. In fact, I was talking to a new fund down there yesterday. I better not say the name. Okay. 7 individuals.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess I would be.
No, I'm not sure. No. I don't know them that well to pimp them. Okay.
Yeah.
All the names I've mentioned.
Go to jail for like insider trading or something.
Yeah, no, I don't want to. Yeah. I don't want to pimp people I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good motto. Cool. Well, it was so good of you to join. I'm like so excited to see your face. I haven't talked to you in like 2 years almost. Well,
yeah, I miss you. I missed you. I even miss Molly. There you go.
Oh, yeah, everyone misses Molly. They're like, she's like the nice one. Like everyone's like,
yeah, good guy. You play that good guy, bad guy thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go ahead and they'll be like, oh, you get too much attitude from this one. And then I like her. She's nice. I'm like, but cool. Yay. I will talk to you more soon. And thank you so much for joining. And
good luck to you, Emily. Congratulations on your success.
Oh, thank you. I love it. Okay. I'll talk to you.
Take care.
Bye.
Good luck, all.